Time for a sketchbook tour. If you're new here, my name is Sally and I'm a mixed media artist in Australia. And if you're not new here, welcome back. This is my portraits only sketchbook. I was quite surprised when I realised that it took me just over one whole year to finish this sketchbook. But then I remembered for 3 months of the year, I was drawing a portrait a day for the 100-day project. So I wasn't really using this sketchbook during that time. But it's finally finished, so let's flip through. Starting with an artwork that I created for the zine that I made about the movie Mandy. This is a portrait of Mandy, and that's how it ended up looking in the zine. And then we have Red, who was played by Nicolas Cage. And I did these two portraits in acrylic paint markers and pencil. And then on the right-hand side of the page, I've just got another portrait of Mandy that I just did in fine liner and pencil. Here's some mechanical pencil sketches. I wanted to try studying some different expressions. More mechanical pencil portraits. This was when Ozzy Osbourne passed away. I just did some sketches of him to pay tribute. Then we have, this is a really fun spread. This is Nina Hagen, who is a punk singer from the 80s. I did these portraits in acrylic paint markers and pencil. And I used a lot of acrylic paint markers throughout this sketchbook because they're quick and easy to use. And they're fantastic on this paper. These are just some colored pencil portraits. And here we start doing some more artwork for another zine. Issue 20 of my zine Stung was all about the 90s, so I was drawing some musicians and actors and people that I really loved throughout the 90s. So again, these are all in acrylic paint markers. This is obviously Drew Barrymore. Then we have Kat Bjelland from Babes in Toyland on the left-hand side and Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth. A couple of iconic 90s TV shows, of course, The X-Files and Buffy. And then we've got Kathleen Hanna from Bikini Kill on the left, also with Kim Gordon there. And then True Romance, Patricia Arquette. I absolutely love that movie. Our king and queen of 90s grunge, of course, Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love. This was off a reference photo from their wedding day. And then we've got Mike Patton from Faith No More. And obviously our queen of 90s TV, Miss Laura Palmer. So all of these portraits were done in acrylic paint marker and just about all of them ended up in the zine. So I'll just show you here what they look like when they were published. So we've got Laura and Buffy. Then we've got the musicians there. So I just scan the pages of my sketchbook and then format them, get them ready to print. And then on the right side, I wanted to do some more women from Twin Peaks, and that was just in pencil and fine liner. These were just some references that I grabbed from Pinterest, again in acrylic paint markers. I feel like they're just such a quick and easy art supply to use. There's no cleanup. They work really, really well on this moleskin paper. I should mention this sketchbook is the Moleskine Art sketchbook. It's got really smooth paper and it's heavyweight. It's 165 GSM, so it takes wetter media really well. And I forgot to finish this page. I did the sketch and didn't complete it. But then we have Chloe Sevigny on the right there. I love that portrait of her. She's got such an interesting face that it's really hard to capture her likeness. The previous spread was sketches of her as well. For this spread, I'd just been swatching some markers that I got, and then I ended up using those as a background for, again, some expression studies. Arrtx, I've always been so visually inspired by her music videos. Whenever she releases something new, I have to take screen grabs and use them for reference. This was when the Wuthering Heights soundtrack came out. I just did this using gel pens. And this was from the song Chains of Love. And then I had this idea, which is probably not original, but I was thinking about the Live, Laugh, Love signs, and I was thinking about Live, Laugh, Courtney Love. So I just sketched that out. The background is some acrylic paint swatches, and then just did some acrylic gel pen portraits of Courtney over the top. I'm always very inspired by the media I'm consuming, so I was watching some old Natalie Wood movies, and so I did some portraits of her, again in acrylic gel pens on the left and just fine liner on the right. She was gorgeous. I read an amazing book about Cookie Mueller. She was in some John Waters movies and she's an amazing writer, and so I did some pencil portraits of her just with some written quotes from her as well. What an amazing woman. And here we get into some more artwork for another edition of my zine. At the start of every year, I publish a zine, which is my highlights and favorite things from the previous year. So these were some portraits of Chris Smalls, who's an amazing activist. I did these in colored pencil. And then I wanted to do some portraits of some of my favorite films of the year of 2025. So I had Sinners, which was my favorite movie that year, did some character studies, and then I had Bring Her Back, Train Dreams, Friendship, and also TV show The Chair Company, because Tim Robinson had a very, very good year in 2025. And this is how the zine ended up turning out with the artwork that I included. So again, I just scanned the sketchbook pages and then format it with the text around it. There's Charlie, there's Sinners. So if you are interested in my artwork, you can grab my zines as an accessible way to have some of my drawings at home. I've got zine memberships over on Ko-fi, and I also sell them online. I'll have all of that linked in the description box down below. It's funny looking back through this sketchbook because it did span a whole 12 months. I can see what I was watching and listening to what was released, because Heated Rivalry came out at the end of the year, and as you'll see over the next few sketchbook spreads, I was pretty interested and involved. I did multiple sketchbook spreads. I did a whole video making this sketchbook spread. This was all in colored pencil, just from some of my favorite moments in the last few episodes. I did these two portraits of Ilya and Shane in acrylic paint markers, pencil and gel pen. I love the way these two turned out. And I ended up using these two portraits in the zine as well. Definitely one of my favorite things of 2025. And then Connor and Hudson hit the red carpet for the Golden Globes, so I had to draw them in fine liner, their looks for the Golden Globes. And then I also had to do some mechanical pencil portraits of both Connor Story, that portrait on the left is my absolute favorite, and also Hudson Williams. Who else hasn't been able to get enough of those two? That show was phenomenal. Then our beloved Catherine O'Hara passed away, so I had to do some sketches of her as well. And the top left corner here is unfinished. I started drawing them in, filling them in colored pencil, and I work right to left in my sketchbooks because I'm left-handed and it prevents smudging. So I'd completed those ones on the right-hand side. I just didn't like the way it was turning out, so I left that sketch unfinished, and I prefer that. And then the Winter Olympics happened, and we have the phenomenal Alyssa Liu, who did that incredible gold medal winning performance, and these are mechanical pencil portraits of her. What an absolute joy. Next up, one of my all-time favorite film directors, John Waters. It was his 80th birthday, and I actually did a painting of him. So this was an acrylic portrait that I did of him just to celebrate his 80th birthday. I love him so much, with some collaged quote of his up the top there. And these were just some acrylic marker portraits of him as well. This spread was some ideas that I got from that portrait of John. these are some concepts for some further portraits that I want to do. Like I want to do a whole series of people that I enjoy. I've got Slater on the left there and Kathleen Hanna from Bikini Girl on the right. And I'm going to do some portraits in that same style with some collaged lyrics on the painting as well. But I haven't done those yet. But I'm thinking about it. These are some more painting concept ideas that I was just trying to figure out. And here I got some really cheap tempera paint sticks. They're a kids art supply, but they're really fantastic because they're really amazing color range and they dry really fast and don't shift. So I was just scrubbing those loosely on my sketchbook pages as a background. And then I just did some colored pencil portraits on top, again with a bit of collage element on the page there. Charli XCX released another music video that I was really visually inspired by, called Rock Music. She's smoking quite heavily in this music video, so that inspired the portraits on the left side there. Once again, I work right to left in my sketchbook because of smudging, being a lefty. This was where I finished the 100-day project because the 100th day ended up being what would have been Marilyn Monroe's 100th birthday. So I did a portrait of her to finish the project and I just wanted to keep drawing her. She's so beautiful. I used the tempera paint sticks again as a background and just did the portraits on top in both acrylic marker and gel pen. And again, with the tempera paint sticks as the background. This is not a great sketchbook spread. None of these are really look like her. I started making ACEOs this year and I've been selling them on eBay, and these two were part of a Marilyn set that I did, but I just didn't like the way they turned out. I don't think they looked like her, so I didn't want to sell them, so I just stuck them in the sketchbook. This was a spread that was inspired by the Dreamer TM font. I'm currently obsessed with it. It's like a Y2K serif with these little star elements around, and so I did these portraits in alcohol marker and pencil and just added some of the font elements around with the dream in the font up the top. And then I went and saw Obsession. Oh my goodness, that movie was amazing. So again, I used the tempera paint sticks because they covered up the alcohol marker bleed through on the previous page. So I just used various pinks, reds and a purple, and then did the portrait of Nikki on the left in acrylic paint markers. And around her portrait, I decided to write all the words from the Hansel and Gretel monologue because that was phenomenal. I would love to hear your thoughts on that movie if you saw it. This was some more pencil portraits, and I don't know, I don't really love this sketchbook spread, but I was getting some more ideas out with the graphic tear in gel pen that's sort of different to the rest of the style of the face. I was listening to David Bowie's song Sorrow, so I just cut those letters out of a magazine and stuck them to the top of the page, and I don't know, I kind of like this spread. I'm not too committed to it. Whoops. If you watched my last video, you would have seen me swatching the new Faber Castell Polychromos shade extension, the new 20 colors. I made this portrait in that video, the one on the right here, using those 20 colors, not all of them, but just using that set. And then on the left, I used those colors with the addition of some of my existing 36 color set. And I was so inspired by colors and colorful portraits that I did some more colorful portraits in this sketchbook spread, just using one color to do each portrait. Just practicing how I can get different values depending on the pressure and how you use the pencil. And I quite like this spread, and I used just the tiniest little bit of fine liner just to add some details just around the eyes and various elements, and that purple portrait down the bottom there is my fave of this spread. And here we have on the right hand side another colored pencil portrait. I'm currently working on issue 26 of my zine, which is going to be blackout poetry. So I stuck some blackout poetry to the top of this page. And it says, "Colors sneak up, colors conspire with the rainbow and attack." And that was why I did the little rainbow of hearts down the bottom, just because I had some room at the end of the page. And these portraits on the left hand side, I just did in ballpoint pen. I really like experimenting with cheap art supplies. Like, you don't need to have every art supply, the fanciest art supplies, to still be able to work. Obviously, light fastedness, is light fastedness a word? Comes into consideration if you're selling original pieces, but for your sketchbook, totally fine. This is definitely one of my favorite spreads of the entire sketchbook. I've got a whole Pinterest board that's just old like screen grabs of infomercials and old talk shows, and so this spread was just random screen grabs from different infomercials and old talk shows, and I just used cheap markers to do this. And I did this, it was really quick. I was watching Below Deck and just doing this, and it was a really fun time. And here is the final page, the final portrait of my Portraits Only sketchbook. I loved River Phoenix so much, and I was just thinking about how River, he was such an environmentalist and used his popularity and his platform to speak about environmental issues constantly. He would have hated data centers. River would have hated AI, and I'm really glad that he didn't get to see all this shit. He would have hated it. And so I just had to write that in my sketchbook. And this spread, I just used some markers, acrylic paint markers for the border around the outside. And yeah, that is my Portraits Only sketchbook. I really loved having a sketchbook that was just one subject, because I really got to experiment with different ideas, and I really worked out a lot of stuff in this sketchbook. As you can see, I also worked through stuff that I wanted to publish in the zine in this sketchbook. Portraits are my favorite thing to draw and paint, so I just had a really good time in this sketchbook. So I decided I wanted to get another Moleskine sketchbook, but because I'm disabled and I don't get to stores very often, I mostly buy things online. And I saw that Moleskine also has a sketchbook that's watercolor paper. So I know that I really like this Moleskine art sketchbook, but I thought, well, maybe I'll try the watercolor. But I didn't realize the size that I bought, and it is absolutely massive. I really liked the size of this art sketchbook, so I'm a little bit intimidated by the size of the one that I have now. It is huge, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use this one next, if I'm going to start it, or if I'm just going to save it for another day. But it's kind of textured watercolor paper, so I'm really excited to have it. Anyway, I will put it to use, but yeah, let me know, should I start this one next? And Echo is here, getting in all my business, so I guess it's time to go. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support so much. Let me know what your favorite sketchbook spread was. And I'd love to know if you've kept a one subject sketchbook, if that worked for you and what you learnt. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.